Morning. I got quiet all of a sudden. I'm scared. Glad you're here. We had a request to do this very special song from a gentleman by the name of Barry Goldstein. I'd never heard it before, but Joan requested this song, and it's really quite a magical song, I would say. It's called Through the Eyes of God. I woke up from a dream. I was a blade of grass. Felt the miracle and everything that is me. I was the scent within the breeze. I was the blue within the sky. I was the cotton candy cloud. I was everything alive. And through the eyes of God, I have learned to see that I am everything, and everything is me. And through the breath of God, I have learned to breathe, and I am everything, and everything is me. I am the mist within the rain. I am the sands upon the shore. I am the laughter of a child, so innocent and pure. I am the eagle in his flight. I am the butterfly on the wing. I am the song within your heart, and I'm waiting just to sing. Through the eyes of God, I have learned to see that I am everything, and everything is me. And through the breath of God, I have learned to breathe, and everything is me. Through the eyes of God, I have learned to see. Through the breath of God, I have learned to breathe. Through the breath of God, I have learned to see. And I am everything, and everything is me. Through the eyes of God, through the eyes of God, through the eyes of God, through the eyes of God. Thank you.
Morning. Thanks again, Jeff. That was lovely. So my name is Michael Panique, and I'd like to welcome those of you who are here in person and our live streaming audience to Unity of Missoula today. As we begin our Sunday service, let's start with honoring one another. Take a few moments to greet each other with waves, nods, and other non-physical means to show our appreciation and love for each other. Okay, now we will move into the more formal part of our service. Let us remember, Unity of Missoula is a team ministry founded on the 5 basic principles of unity. God is all good and active in everything, everywhere. I am naturally good because God's divinity is in me and in everyone. I create my experiences by what I choose to think and what I feel and believe. Through affirmative prayer and meditation, I connect with God and bring out the good in my life. I do and give my best by living the truth I know. I make a difference. And I think we've got a sign-up sheet here for the potluck. We don't have a sign-up sheet for the potluck. But I think next week is our monthly potluck, so...
Real potluck.
Please don't be like me and forget about it. All right. So now we'll move on to the time in our service when we share together the reading from the Daily Word. This is Unity's bi-monthly meditation magazine, and the word for today is inner peace. Secure in the presence of God, I am peaceful and strong. I find comfort in knowing I am never alone, because God is always with me and within me. Whenever I am called to face, I have inner resources to handle it peacefully. Peace dwells in the silence of my soul. When I feel troubled, I turn within. I breathe deeply and picture a peaceful setting, a trickling stream, the wind gently rustling the leaves, or the soft flicker of candlelight. I let tranquility sink deep into my heart. As I leave the quietness of prayer, I take peace with me. I am ready to face the day. As a peaceful person, I know that peace is my very nature, harmony is my purpose, and my goal. I seek serene people, places, and experiences. My soul feels at home everywhere as the peace of my heart flows outward to bless everyone it touches. And from 2 Peter, may grace and peace be yours in abundance in the knowledge of God and of Jesus our Lord. All right, and now here are a few things we would like to tell you about this week. Next Sunday's 11 a.m. service will feature Ryan Nicodemus. Our April theme is Love Reimagined. This month's spiritual power is love, represented by the disciple John and by Mary Magdalene, and the color is pink. A hospitality is provided today by Evelyn Whitholm, Nancy Crawford, and Linda Lynn. Next week is the potluck. Please join us for food, fun, and fellowship downstairs after the service. And as always, many thanks to those of you who provide hospitality and also to those who help with setup and cleanup. We really appreciate you. Sunday, April 26th, after the service, we will have our new member recognition at 12:30 p.m. We'll be celebrating our new members, and if you're feeling called to be a member, membership cards are available for all of those who would like to sign up. Sunday, May 3rd, will be our annual membership meeting. During this meeting, we'll vote on new members for our board and provide, and provide a yearly report on Unity's progress over the past year. Book groups, our online book group meets Mondays at 12:30 on Zoom, and they are reading Understanding Your Soul, The Channeled Wisdom of Jesus by Christine Bush. Please contact Nancy Leifer or Judy Crenshaw if you'd like the link. The in-person Unity book group will not be meeting this Tuesday. They'll be resuming next week on the 21st. And they're currently starting Creating Your Life, The Channeled Wisdom of Jesus by Christine Bush. Please, if you're on Facebook, like, share, and comment on Unity's Facebook page and spread the word about our great and wonderful community. The Course in Miracles study group meets Mondays at 2 p.m. at the home of Tom and Linda Andrus. Please see Linda if you need directions. And our Course in Miracles beginners group meets Thursdays at 5:30 p.m. Here at Unity in the sanctuary. Thursday's time of silent prayer and meditation for world peace is at 7 p.m. Please join us for a 20-minute time of silent meditation as we visualize our world in blessed peace. Thank you so much to those of you who continue to support our Unity community through your tithes and love offerings. Your generous donations enable us to keep our building full of spiritual seekers and other community groups throughout the month. We appreciate you. Okay. Unity's 10% tithe on all income received each quarter is divided between and sent to help the missions of Unity Headquarters, Unity Northwest Region, and local local Missoula charities as voted on annually by our board. Please hold them in your heart as we affirm our offering blessing. I'll affirm it once and then ask you to repeat it with me. I open my heart to love. All that I give and all that I receive is blessed and multiplied from a joyful heart of love. And now together, I open my heart to love. All that I give and all that I receive is blessed and multiplied from a joyful heart of love. Okay, and now I'd like to invite our board members to please come forward and pass the baskets. Thank you. Now, before we move on to the talk for this week, I'll affirm Unity's primary affirmation and ask you to join me to do it 2 more times. There is only one presence and one power in my life, the all-loving goodness of God. And now together, there is only one presence and one power in my life, the all-loving goodness of God. And one more time. There is only one presence and one power in my life, the all-loving goodness of God. In addition, here's our Missoula Unity affirmation. I'll affirm it once and ask you to join me in affirming it again. We are Unity of Missoula. We are a radiating center of divine love, open and accessible to all. We are God's light, peace, and joy wherever we are. And now together, we are Unity of Missoula. We are a radiating center of divine love, open and accessible to all. We are God's light, peace, and joy wherever we are. Thank you. Unity of Missoula maintains a circle of people who've made a commitment to pray every day for others at their request. If you have names of people to hold in prayer for a month, you may place their names in the prayer box located on the altar, or call the church and leave a message with those names. Their names will be sent out to our prayer circle and to Silent Unity for 30 days of prayer. Please join me now in prayer for a moment as we hold all of them in our hearts. May also now say aloud or silently the names of those you wish to bring into this time of prayer. Dear God, we hold these friends and loved ones in our hearts. We behold their light as expressions of the indwelling Christ. We release them to your care and affirm divine order in their lives and ours. Thank you, God. Amen. Now I'd like to invite Mark Kenny to come up and lead us in singing There Is Only Love.
In this moment, in this place, I remember who I am. Fear and weary fall away from me as I open my eyes to see. There is only love. There is only love. Love that heals, love that sets us free. There is only love. When I lose myself, when it seems I've lost my way, I go inside and quiet my mind, and I hear the Spirit gently say, there is only love. There is only love. Love that heals, love that sets us free. There is only love.
All right. Thank you. So today our speaker is Joan Hoedel, and Joan is somebody who I've respected for years as a blessing to this community and to the greater Missoula community. Someone whose wise and thoughtful words always leave me with something to think about and something to take in that I never would have expected. So please welcome Joan.
Thank you for your kind words. Thanks, everybody, for sharing your hearts here today. Jeff, thank you for that song. Janine, as always, thank you. Okay. What did the chicken say when it saw the scrambled Easter eggs? Crazy mixed up kids. I think we could apply that to our world today. I think if we could just say, oh, crazy mixed up kids, what are we doing, right? And if we could really see through the eyes of God and breathe with the breath of God, we would see, we would know, we would be, we would get it. But meanwhile, we get glimpses, don't we? We have experiences that remind us and awaken us. Love is here. We feel it. We know it. And it gives us fuel to keep daring to believe there is only love. And so as I talk today, what I'm going to be talking about is we're going to start global and work into personal. And as we look back through time, and the reason that I want to do this today in this way is that the way my brain works is I'm always trying to find a pattern. Why are we here? How did we get here? Somebody once told me I had an analytical brain, and I remember arguing, no, I'm intuitive. You know what? I think I have an analytical brain. And I've come to accept and appreciate my analytical brain while trying to grow my intuitive side as well. Long, long ago, there was a matriarchy. There was a time of goddesses. There was a time when women and the feminine power were the predominant expressions of the divine in leadership at that time. But leadership was very different. It was collaborative. There was a sense of we. There was a sense of we. And then we moved into patriarchy. And it was a power over, and it was an individuation. And we've come pretty much to the end of individuation to see both the good, but also the terrible, when we forget about the we. And now we're moving into this new paradigm where we take our individuated self and move back into the we in a way that has never been happened before. And that, to me, is really exciting because, again, as we look through the tapestry and the threads that have woven through the history as we know it, and how much of that is true, how much of it is not true, it doesn't really matter. What matters is the meaning we take from the history as we know it and what we do with that. Because the only moment that we really have is this one. So in the time of matriarchy, many of us would look fondly back to that time, right? There was a time when we were able to move with the hum of the earth. We were in tune with nature. We were in tune with one another. There was this nurturance that most of us long for and hunger for in this time. And that was, to a large extent, what got pressed down in the time of patriarchy, when we got to experiment and play with this dynamic of power over and hierarchical leadership. And now we're in this new moment of creativity, and we are seeing everything that we used to put our hope in falling apart. Humanity has looked to the gods for a purpose and meaning for as long as we've been taking breath. And I think there's something valuable and essential about that, because we come from the living life force of love. We come from the experience of the divine, and then we take on individual form, but we have a God whole that we always strive to fill in some way. And in the very same way, individuals move from the womb of mom into a stage where they identify with mom and dad, into individuation, into their own full self-expression. So too do I think humanity is on a similar path. And that's good. And it's the way that we're, as God forms, evolving and experiencing and learning and moving on from what we once were to ultimately who we can be. Those of us who are in this moment in time on a conscious path of striving to cooperate with the living life force of love as we do that, this is our moment to find within us the hum, to tune into the life force around us, to be in the flow of love, to recognize God within all things. The laughter of a child, the butterfly's new wings, the cotton candy clouds, and in one another. And in our best, most life-filled moments, we experience that. And I would imagine that enlightenment is that we can do that all the time. But in the meantime, we get glimpses of it. We have glimpses of enlightenment. I want you to own that and to claim that. And whatever that feels like for you, that is God revealing itself within you and to you. No matter how different it appears to other people. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I wanted to point to history just a little bit. And believe me, I'm leaving Heather Cox Richardson's and all the other people who actually know a lot about history to keep us informed about how we have overcome the challenges of the past. But I want to look briefly through the thread of church history. And in this stage of patriarchy, it's really easy and valid to say that it has not served humanity very well. The worst expressions of humanity have come through religion, patriarchal religion, leaving it at that. But even within that, love has always been present. There's not any area of life where love is not. And here I'm looking particularly at naming the mystics that have been a part of church history. And those that agreed with patriarchy were canonized as saints. And those who disagreed with patriarchy were burned at the stake. Just in the system that is. And now we're at this point where we really do literally, in this moment, have the freedom to express who we are. And in fact are compelled to do so, perhaps more now than ever before. And so we can find comfort in knowing that through all of time and all of the harsh things that have happened to humanity that we have survived and grown through, so too will we come through this moment. And now if we look at the 1800s, where church was extremely conservative and powerful, and the Civil War was happening, so too were the seeds of new thought being planted. Phineas, what was his name? Phineas who? Quimby. Phineas Quimby, yeah. He's the person that we give credit to the New Thought movement. And what I love about his story is that, like Myrtle, he was diagnosed with terminal TB, tuberculosis. End stage. He went riding a horse and felt the exhilaration of life on a horse. And fast forward, he got better. But from that seed, then we have, all of the New Thought. Unity Church, all of the others that were planted in shortly after the time of the Civil War. Like, if we look at America's short history, that was one of our darkest moments. And then, if we look at the 1940s, coming out of World War II, lo and behold, we discover the Naj Hammadi scrolls, all the new gospel, like the Gospel of Thomas, and all the hidden scriptures that we were never allowed to see before, the Dead Sea Scrolls. Both of those things happened, 46, 47, right around that area. It's like, wow. And now as we look at how many people are having spiritual experiences globally in this moment of darkness, wow. What is going to be happening? Those seeds that were planted 100 years ago, 150 years ago, they're just now taking root through us, through a whole lot of like-minded people and people that don't think like us at all. Does that mean that those who think different from us are less filled with love? No. No. Is that hard? Yeah. I want to make them wrong. But if I really believe there is only love, then I have to look at this differently. And here I go to the yin-yang symbol. There is light within darkness, and there is darkness within light, and we are within an earth school. And for those of us who like school, this analogy, this metaphor works really well. But for those of us who don't like school or had bad experiences of school, we can also use the metaphor of a gym. We have taken on human form to pretend that we're separate from each other. And boy, did we take on individualized, unique forms by design so that we have some weights to lift, right? The people who are most difficult for us now are the heaviest weights in the gym. And we're here to become stronger, more fit, more fully alive, using this metaphor. It only goes so far. But in the same way that you can pull up outside of a gym and watch people on the inside working out and think, oh, I should do that. Or you could also think, oh, they are crazy. Why would anybody want to do that? Whatever your perspective is. Unless you're in there doing the work, you're not going to get any stronger physically, right? Unless we're willing to engage with the weights in our life, the challenges in our life, we're not going to grow and have more experiences of those enlightened moments that fill us, reignite us, and reawaken us. I have stopped trying to figure out what the living life force of love has planned, although it's entertaining to try. I don't know. I do not know how this moment in time is going to end, but I do know there is only love. And I do know that something globally, 8 billion of us-ish, are all on the planet at this time to share in an experience of life in this moment as divine beings having human experiences. That doesn't mean some of us are more lovable than others. It does mean some of us may be choosing to cut ourselves off from the flow of love, as is very possible, because we get to choose if we're going to open to love or not. Life is a whole lot more happy, meaningful, when we're open to love. And I don't know who said this. Janine, you might know this. You're kind of a thesaurus of people who know who says what. But life can only be lived forward and only understood by looking backward. And so we're not going to be able to understand what's happening in this moment until sometime way down the road. And I can't wait to read and see, what was this? How did we get here? And how did we get out of here? But moving more closely now to the personal. This is also Easter season. And this is the time in my former tradition where from Easter Sunday to Pentecost, we call that Easter season. And that's the time when the risen Lord, the Christ consciousness, was appearing to different people in different ways. And I love that because we live in that season all of the time. And who did he appear to first? Ladies, Mary Magdalene, outside of the tomb. What did the guys think of that? Who are you? What do you mean he appeared to you? We haven't seen him. She's probably thinking, oh, well, I did, right? Okay. And then the dudes walking along the road on the road to Emmaus, talking about how terrible things were and what happened to this guy who was going to usher in the kingdom, what happened to him. And then the risen Lord, walks along beside them. They're just talking and filling him in because he didn't seem to know what was going on. And then it was when they were breaking bread with him, they were sharing a meal with this stranger, that their eyes were open, their hearts were open. They said, oh, you are him, the risen one. And there were then, when they were all gathered some days later, in a room, scared, fighting over who was going to be next in leadership and what was going to happen to this new movement now that Jesus had been crucified. And Jesus appeared in the room. And still, not everybody believed. And so, I forget who it was, Thomas, somebody, doesn't matter, I'm going to call him George for our purposes. George was the doubter. It was doubting Thomas, but we're going to call him George. He said, I see you, but I don't believe you. I see it, but I don't believe it. Do we see that happening anywhere? I see this, but I don't believe it. Okay, well, put your hands in my wounds. Oh, it is you. Each of us has had experiences of the Christ consciousness bursting forth within us. It's been different for every one of us. Every one of us has doubted who we are. We have all doubted our lovability. We have all been hurt. We've been betrayed. The whole kit and caboodle. And in those moments, when we most want to feel loved, is when it's hardest to feel loved. And that's when we need somebody to remind us that we are lovable, because we forget. And the farther away we walk down that path of judgment, self-hatred, darkness, the harder it is to believe that there's any part of us that is lovable. And we cannot find our way out of that darkness alone. We have got to have human touch to remind us that we are not the untouchable lepers, but that we are perhaps the woman who gathers water by herself in the middle of a day because she's so filled with shame she can't dare to associate with any of the other women. All they do is talk about her, and we meet the risen Christ there. Somebody dares to say, hey, I see you. Yeah, I know about all this stuff you did. That's just made up story. If you let that story go about all your mistakes and all of your flaws and all of the reasons why you're not lovable, you will find that you are lovable right here, right now, in this moment. And we need each other to do that. Or we need, sometimes it's a beloved pet. Sometimes people are too scary. We've been hurt too much by people, and we can't dare open our hearts to another human being. That happens. But the living life force of love has a way to break through every barrier we put up if all we do is plead, help. Help. Help me keep living. And sometimes that's through a fur baby. Often it's through fur babies. Dog, cat, chicken. This mystery of life is unfolding, inviting us to reimagine ourselves within it, reimagine each other within it. If we could just get the one foundational truth, there is only love, we would be enlightened if we could take it in. But we're in Earth School. I have not graduated. I have no idea what class I'm in. And then if you look at the pictures from space, like the Artemis 2 pictures, have you all seen the Earthscape, where Earth rising? And then we've got the telescope. It was the Hubble, but now there's another one who's even farther out in space and keeps sending us back all of these photographs of this most magnificent universe that is mind-blowing. And then I think, wow, I'm trying to figure this out as a tiny grain of sand within the universe. And I don't know anything. And that is true. Because even if I get enlightened in this little bitty planet, whoa, I wonder what else is out there. Because the universe keeps unfolding. I imagine once we graduate Earth School, however many thousands of lifetimes that might take, then there's yet a whole nother level that we cannot even comprehend. But what I do know through all of it is that love is woven through it. And either life is showing us where we have pushed down the judgments against ourselves that we can't dare see, or it's reminding us that we are lovable. And when I think about my own life, which is the only lens I can see through, as is yours, I had this incredible experience you've heard multiple times, and I will share a little bit more about it, hopefully not the same that you've experienced before, but when I had my near-death experience, and I had to come back, I was on a mission to figure it out. I just had this incredible, unsatiable hunger to know more, to make sense of it. And I still don't have answers. And I think part of this progress of opening more fully to the flow and the rhythm and the love of life is to just accept it. And it's nice if you have a box in your head that you can put it into occasionally, or to frame it and to understand it. But lots of times we don't get that. Neither the suffering nor the most expansive experiences. Therese did such an excellent job of talking about how we are formed in very early years. And we'll have an experience and we make meaning out of it that carries us through the rest of life. And one of the ways that I have sought to understand life is to really get into and understand the subconscious mind and how it works. 1,000 hours of hypnotherapy training, which I'm grateful for. But the takeaway from that is that from 0 to 7, we don't have a filter on what gets into our subconscious brain. Our brains aren't developed enough for it. So whatever happens to us, whatever that is, we make a meaning about it, about ourselves and the experience of life around us. And in Earth School, that's downloading the curriculum, the software that we're going to be using for the rest of our lives. And then at around 7, that gate closes, but we're still formed, certainly. It opens up. I'm not going to go into all of that, but just know that most of the software of our life for Earth School is downloaded from 0 to 7 by design. And then it becomes ours to work with and to heal and to bring into the light. Because if we don't heal what is within us, then what is within us will be destroyed. Gospel of Thomas. Bring forth what is within you. If you don't bring forth what is within you, then it will destroy you. I'm not talking just about shadow, but I do want to move into shadow now. Because what I can say seems pretty evident is that the people who are inflicting the most harm upon other people are those who have not done any shadow work. And I've done enough inflicting of harm in my own life, and probably will continue to do so. And every time I do that or experience that, it's either me projecting my shadow onto somebody else, my unhealed wounds, or receiving the unhealed wounds of somebody else. And so we want to reimagine love. We want to reimagine life. And that means we have to embrace those wounds with empathy and compassion. And now I'm going to move more fully into how this is played out in my own life. So I've shared with you all about my relationship with my dad. And from this perspective that all of it is love, we chose our families. We chose our Earth School curriculum. And we have everything we need to embrace it and to heal from it. And so this is, I have 2 things from my father. This is one, and I have a sweatshirt. Notre Dame, no, it's not, it's an Irish sweatshirt. And I was going to bury this at one point, do a ritual around burying it. And everything that This is a really large bullet capsule with the wings of a bird, no doubt, that he had killed and was proud of. This was something he was very proud of. It was very much my father. He was very much a Montana man, a man who found identity through typical ways. I mean, I can't even say this because I don't want to put anybody into categories, but for my father, it meant a lot to him that he was a hunter. And life made sense for him when he fit into the boxes that had been exposed to him when he was young. One of those was church, and a lot of the other part was like hunting, fishing, and that sort of stuff. No judgment on any of that, except that I wasn't any of those things. And this represented to me the worst parts of my father. And that's why I was going to bury it and let it go. But something inside said, no, hang on to that. And now I can reimagine my father and the emptiness of this shell. There was a part of him that was peaceful. There was a part of him that brought so much joy to my life. He was fun. And rather than the wings of a dead bird that he shot, can these remind me of angel wings? Yes. Yes. And my father now, the risen father, I feel him with me so often. And it's not the father that helped me to grow through wounding. It's the father who loves me so much, and I can feel his presence. And I imagine many of you can feel the presence of people in your life as well, whether it's real or imagined, it doesn't matter. But they break through. And so this is an example of how, when we bring forward what has held us back and kept us small and hurt us and fed to the story we bought into between the ages of 0 and 7 about being too different to belong, whatever our particular wound is, and we embrace that and we know ourselves to be lovable, no matter who reflects that to us or not, then we can reimagine all aspects of our life one at a time. I'm not at all suggesting that we can go from pain, the feelings of betrayal and rejection, to just simply being there. At least I cannot. I maybe some of you can, but I cannot do that. I need to dive into the pain, to feel it, to allow my wounded child to have her tantrums for however long that takes. And then by holding her and loving her as me, then I can let the other person and that story go. And that's how I reimagine love. And I'm so grateful that I didn't bury this, because it reminds me of what's possible, especially now in this moment with, war. Yeah. There's another way to look at that too. And love is even in the darkest places. Even in the darkest places. And to bring this, my father's story, to a close here with this moment, I'll share that. A while back on my quest for understanding my near-death experience and how that all works with the human experience, because to know yourself as love and then to come down and have the human experiences of everything that goes with that is really difficult. I turned to astrology to help understand. And in that way that the song presented itself, that the cotton candy clouds, so too are the stars in that infinite galaxy. It's all love. And in 1977, which is the year that I graduated high school, there was a discovery called Chiron. And whether it's a planet or an asteroid, whether it's real, the mythology of it or not, it helps me understand my place in this incredibly huge cosmos. And Chiron represents the wounded healer within each of us. And there are 12 primary wounds on the astrological cycle. And then within each house, there's another meaning. So all I'm trying to say is that for me, I find it fascinating that my Chiron, my wound, is in the sign of Aquarius, which is the wound of belonging. Okay, I moved every year of my life until I was in 6th grade. And it's also in the 12th house. Now listen to this. This is crazy. People, the wound often, the download that I signed up for from 0 to 7, the pain that I had, was they may grow up in environments where their sensitivity to the unseen was dismissed, where spiritual or emotional realities were denied, or where they were forced to suppress their natural attunement to collective currents. So to me that means I chose the wound of not fitting in to a family that was ultra-religious, have a near-death experience that they ridiculed and told me was hokey, and lived my life with them, buying into the belief that I had nothing to share, and if I did, I would be ridiculed. And I share this story with astrology because we can find meaning everywhere. When we look for it, it's going to be different for you than it is for me, but any place we can find meaning and a reflection of who we are coming back to us, dive into that. Get curious about it. I would say curiosity is probably the best tool for exploration in this phenomenal, crazy world where we're all trying to wake up to the presence of love within ourselves and within each other. And empathy is the only path forward, because shame cannot survive in empathy. Empathy and compassion dissolve shame. That's from Brené Brown's studies. And that includes within you. When you are tending to judge yourself, or feeling bad about yourself, or really into judging what's wrong with the world, I really invite you to get curious about what might be trying to reveal itself to you. And when you are able to identify that, see if you can embrace it with love. Your task is not to seek for love, but merely to seek and find the barriers that prevent you from experiencing the love and embrace them, according to what Rumi's guidance is. Oftentimes those last few words are not shared in that quote, but the full quote is, your task is not to seek for love, but merely to seek and find the barriers that you've put up within and embrace them. And I would say that's what the stories of Emmaus, the stories of the resurrected Christ, lots of metaphor, lots of stories. I feel like that's the common thread that we share, historically, collectively, and individually. And in closing, I'm just going to share the story of the dragonfly, because that too is a story of transformation and reimagining love. And dragonflies are mud-colored insects when they're born. They hide in the mud. They blend in, and anything that gets too close, these little bugs will attack. The unhealed heart is like that. Anybody gets too close, we either hide or we attack, right? Until the day comes when that dragonfly can no longer live underwater, literally can no longer live in the only environment that it has ever known, because its body is shifting. So it has to find a twig into the grass, or into the water, and it climbs out on that twig or that branch, and it clings because it doesn't know anything about this new world. And it sheds its shell one final time, and this time it has wings, but it still can't fly. This is its most vulnerable. When we leave the familiar to go to the unfamiliar, there's a real scary time there. And then eventually, when the light dries the wings, they will never fold again. There's no going back once you awaken the experience of light and love within yourself. And then from there, then the dragonfly can soar in any direction, reflecting the light everywhere it goes. So each of you is also a reflection of light. Okay? So let's do meditation. Just a short meditation. Okay. Just allow yourself to get comfortable. You can keep your eyes open or closed. Take in slow, deep breath. Keep in mind that our experience of life comes from the 5% of our brain that is conscious. Everything else is coming from an unconscious place where we have made up stories about ourselves and each other. And you know you are love. You know there is only love, either here to offer us an opportunity to grow, to heal, or to be reminded that we are valuable, we are worthy. To bring your awareness to your own heart today. What does it need from you? Where can you bring a little more compassion to your own heart? Where can you dare to be imperfect? Is there somebody in your life that needs to be reminded that they're valuable? There is only love, and you are it. Reimagine your life in this moment. And when you're ready, just bring your awareness back to this moment. Okay, in closing, I have to ask, did we get in the circle first? Okay. Prayer of protection, yeah. See if you can feel this. The light of God surrounds us. We are the light. The love of God enfolds us. We are the love. The power of God protects us. We are the power. The presence of God watches over us. We are the presence. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. We are one. Okay. Now we can join together for our circle of peace.
Let it begin.
I was able to sit in 5 people who can sing really well, and you might even be able to sing well too, but I cannot sing well. So I love that it made me sound better. And I love how each one of us is so different. Whatever your gifts are, bring them out. Whatever your flaws are, bring them out. Love them. And when you're doing that, be sure to have fun.